You know, I feel like maybe I'm the only sane person in this room.
Does this not get you going?
Well, do you know what, Tom? We spend a lot of time talking about the fact we can't get the NHS to work. Here we go. Let's
like it's happening.
Take this live. Come on, Tom.
Take us through it. He's opening the hatch. Is he, Tom? Is he opening the hatch? Is he about?
It looks like he's about to open the hatch. This is the moment.
And that is a very old-fashioned way to open it. It's like he's winding up a car, isn't
It's like winding down a car window for
isn't
on the radio.
This is why it's cheaper than NASA.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought there would just be a button, Tom, and it would ping open. But he's literally winding down a window.
Well, I suppose if it's a button, there's the risk that something could go wrong.
Off.
If it's mechanical, that's a lot safer.
Right.
It's not broken, has it?
It's got stuck.
He stopped turning the handle now. He's holding on, and presumably we're saying this could be Sarah Gillis, of course. He looks like he's about to twist open the hatch.
Pretty strong jolt to release that stiction.
It's going to require, we're hearing, a strong jolt. So let's see if he's going to do it. Remember, this is the first walk in space, commercial walk in space ever.
Now, this must be the risk, the moment of high risk, Tom, you would think, when the pressure change occurs once this hatch is opened.
Any shift is a moment of major risk. It's also worth saying they've got further away from the Earth, over 700 kilometres from the Earth now, a remarkable distance. And
how he's feeling. Do we know for sure whether that is?
Gotten to open the hatch. So when you go out as EV1, just like Jared here is EV1, that's typically the role for you is to open that hatch. And
have to draw straws.
Extra vehicular activity.
It's exciting. It is. It's very exciting.
So it's unlatched. It isn't open yet.
But we could be literally minutes away now, Tom, from them emerging into space.
Or disaster, let's be honest.
Yeah, let's be positive.
Well, this is Jared Isaacman, who's holding onto the hatch. I'm trying to be positive.
Yeah. 41, billionaire, made a lot of money, obviously made a lot of money, accompanied by a 30-year-old engineer on SpaceX, Sarah Gillis, who is the technical wizard in here.
That's right. So they're going to be tethered. They call it an umbilical cord. It's 12 feet long. It will provide air and cooling into the suits from the cord. So that will stop them floating off into space, Tom.
It'll physically tether them to the spacecraft, but it's worth noting these suits are new. These suits have never been used on a spacewalk before. These are a SpaceX design. We're used to the big puffy suits from NASA. These are a lot more slimline. And in that, there is innovation, but also risk, as any innovation carries.
So the depressurization effectively begins once this capsule is, or once the hatch is opened. The airlock, there we go.
Now it's happening. He's bringing the hatch is opening. He's pulling it towards him.
So this will empty the cabin of air.
It's supposed to be pretty exciting for Jared because that
the umbilical cord basically looks a bit like, if you're listening at home or you're listening on the radio, it's a bit like a tumble dryer pipe. You know,
yeah, exactly.
Back of your tumble dryer. It looks a bit like that.
What is going through his mind?
I mean, this is extraordinary because all of the air inside there will be rushing out into the vacuum of space.
Yeah.
They will only be living now because they're wearing their spacesuits. In a sense, that is a bit of a spacewalk because they've just flooded the cabin, or the opposite of flooded the cabin, if you see what I mean. And they've opened that top hatch a very, very tiny way to allow that air to escape. Remarkable.
Looking out that tiny window there in the forward hatch, knowing he is going to have a much bigger window in just minutes.
It would be fascinating to see, and I'm sure that the mission control will be able to see his heart rate at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Racing, you would say.
No
Well,
doubt.
possibly not. I imagine they do a huge amount of training to stay incredibly calm.
Now we can actually see the hatch coming down.
EV1, return to seat.
I wonder where he's going to put it.
And EV1 copy, transitioning back.
Will it float?
Yeah, well, they're in space.
They are in space.
They are in zero gravity. You can see they're sort of strapped into their seats. The Dragon capsule actually takes, I think, 6 to 8 seats, but it will have been modified for this mission.
We're actually watching that hatch. We're going to have you repeat the last operation.
Sounds like they're going to have him repeat them. One of the reasons we're doing that is just to kind of vent any of that residual atmosphere.
So they're being incredibly careful here about opening the hatch a very little way, because if they open it in a big swinging motion, all of the air gets sucked out, and perhaps they get sucked out too. That's a big moment of risk. So this is a very, very crucial moment to take very, very slowly.
And actually, Tom, I mean, like I said, I'm incredibly out of my depth here on this.
So we just
it hadn't sort of occurred to me that the capsule is spinning all the time. This capsule is spinning around the globe at 27,000 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, well, that's how orbit works. If you think about it, you could orbit the Earth at just a foot. I mean, if there was nothing on the Earth, you could orbit at just a foot above the Earth if you were travelling at the right speed. So the further you are away, you're basically just falling. So the International Space Station, if you're looking at the picture of the Earth on the screen, it would only be a tiny way above the Earth there on that scale, but it's moving so very quickly that it's actually falling faster than the speed at which the Earth moves, and that's how it orbits.
And if it's travelling at 27,000 kilometres an hour, that is 16,777 miles an hour. Extraordinary.
Extraordinary, but you've got no point of reference, so you don't feel like you're moving very quickly. And actually, if you think about it, the Earth is moving through space very, very quickly. We're orbiting the sun at about 16,000 miles an hour.
Right. They're clapping in ground control, so the hatch is now opening. They're cheering and clapping. This is years of work, Tom. It's all coming.
What a remarkable sight. The hatch is fully open and it's swung down.
There is our first view of the forward hatch, wide open to space.
Wow. So they are now staring directly into space. The hatch is open. Space is literally now in their capsule.
And it is remarkable, given that they are 740 kilometres from Earth.
We are 38 minutes into
we are seeing live
footage. Open on Dragon. First,
we're now looking out into space.
Looking out
through the helmet cam. This is remarkable. We didn't get any sort of live pictures like this throughout the Apollo program. Of course we didn't. We didn't
cheering again.
Live helmet.
Is this the walk now underway?
SpaceX copies. We're with you in your helmet cam.
It's like we're walking out with him.
This is on the radio. If you're listening on the radio, they are literally now disappearing out the hatch into space. How extraordinary.
And it must be said, the suit is holding up.
Well, that's a relief.
Of the first ever
oh my God.
In many ways, the hard bit has been done, right? He is facing the elements of space.
I'm not sure the hard bit's been done yet, Tom. I can't lie. I'm on the edge of my seat a little bit here.
They are now delirious in ground control, because you can hear them clapping and cheering. They are now out.
What a view.
What are they looking at?
What a view. That is the Earth. That is the pale blue dots.
You thought it was the moon. You thought it was the moon.
You asked the question.
Well, I was just saying, because people are listening on the radio. So that we're now seeing. So that is like you see in a TV programme film. That's what he can see. That is amazing.
I mean, it's so remarkable, that.
So he's looking back out of the capsule, down to Earth. Wow. Now, okay, who's taking that shot?
That'll be one of the ones fixed to the capsule.
There's a fixed camera.
But no one has been this far from Earth since Apollo 17 in 1972. This man is the first person since the last 3 Apollo astronauts over 50 years ago to have had this view of Earth.
Well, that's good.
So what is he? So he's out.
Single-handed operations are fine. Static and with dynamic disturbance.
Elon Musk must be on the champagne, Tom.
Oh, I would reckon so.
They're not back down safely yet.
Yeah.
That's true. That will be some time before.
Yeah.
But the fact that this new suit that doesn't look like a Michelin Man, that actually looks much more human. I mean, you can see the innovation that has gone into this mission, and it is working.
All of that safety of this man relies on the fabric, the technology that is encasing him right now.
And thinking about it, he's in this little capsule. It's not tied to anything. It's floating there. Well, it's travelling at quite a considerable speed there above the Earth. And not a penny of taxpayers' money.
Amazing. What exactly is he doing now? We haven't seen her yet. I assume she's going to walk too, Tom, or is it does just the billionaire get to walk in space?
We'll have to wait and see, but this is the big moment, right? Because there's a level of safety holding on to the capsule.
Yeah.
It's when he lets go of the capsule that will just feel so... I can't imagine what's going through his head. I mean, the training that will have gone into this will have been intense. But nothing can surely prepare you for letting go of the vehicle that is your only ride home.
We can see more of him now. It's like he's clambering off.
Have you ever stood at the top of a diving board above a swimming pool and sort of thought, do I jump?
I know.
Do I jump?
Yeah, or dive even.
Yes.
Even more terrifying. To see where's the eyes of the world literally are on this man.
What's also amazing, if you think about it, is the fact that these images are being beamed down live to us. That's one of the most remarkable things, isn't it? Not the fact that this is happening, but the fact that we are watching it.
It's like we're there live, and as we say, you know, previous space missions, you'd have to wait weeks for the film to be delivered. Some of the best shots that we know of the launches of, and just of course, if we talk about the connection, it seems that there's been a connection problem. But of course, they are travelling at such a speed, the footage will come in and out as this goes. So I expect that we'll reconnect any moment now.
That the capsule is travelling at a speed of 17,000 miles an hour. Unfathomable speed.
What if is he aware of that speed, though?
You wouldn't feel it. You wouldn't feel it because it's relative.
Exactly. So you wouldn't feel. There's no resistance.
No.
So he wouldn't be aware of.
There would be nothing to suggest your speed until you saw something whiz past you. And if it was stationary, it would feel like it was whizzing past you and you were stationary. We're getting into Einstein's theory of relativity here, but but here we go. We've got the pictures back.
You're going to devote your entire programme to this, aren't you?
Well, I think.
Does Emily know?
I think by the time we get to our programme, it seems like we probably will have him up in space.
Oh yeah.
Well, we will have that spacewalk.
It looks like he's there now.
Well, like I say, I'm much more concerned about them getting down safely than I am them getting out into the atmosphere as it is now. This to some extent has got to be not the easy part. But the important bit is to get them down.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about some of the disasters that there have been in space. If you think about the Challenger disaster, the space shuttle.
Didn't get into space, did it?
That one didn't get into space. The other space shuttle, where there was, or was it? No, I think it was Challenger that broke up on re-entry. But there were two space shuttles that ended in disaster. One on the way up and one on the way down. Yeah,
one was when Reagan was president, I remember.
With the teacher on board.
The teacher. Yeah. That's right, female teacher. Yeah. He now looks like he's walking.
Still holding on to that capsule, though.
Yeah.
But you can see the umbilical cord just to the right of him.
SpaceX copies.
Now, this will be a proper spacewalk as soon as he lets go and is floating and is held only by that umbilical.
If you'd like to return to the reach demonstration, we'll take a look at that with the live video.
I wonder how the conditions can be replicated to test the resistance of the suit down on Earth. You know, you wonder how realistic the conditions can be recreated in order to test the limits of this.
They must have been very, because they've got it right, Tom, so far.
They do. And I wonder if actually some of the testing might well have occurred on the International Space Station, which, of course, SpaceX astronauts have been to many times now. And SpaceX is one of the main providers of resources, but also now with the Crew Dragon capsule of getting astronauts up. There was a time, once the space shuttle was decommissioned and retired, when Americans had no launch capacity to get people up to the space station. The space station mainly paid for by America, but they had to rely on Russian rockets to get people up there, the Soyuz rockets. They had to rely on Soyuz for about a decade until Elon Musk came along with his Crew Dragon spacecraft. That was the first time that an American company could get people back onto a mainly American space station.
Elon Musk is a malign influence on the world with some of the stuff he does and says, but this is extraordinary, Tom, isn't it?
Yeah, it is extraordinary, and I think we do often look at Elon Musk for his ramblings on Twitter and some of the fruity things he says, but frankly, there's a lot of good in the world he does as well. And I think sometimes, if he only stuck to space, perhaps he'd be a more universally liked character, but of course he can't help himself sometimes.
No, he can't.